No ordinary arrival, but this is no ordinary bowling tournament. In a setting unlike any other, our 5 finalists deserve the rock star treatment they've gotten. Some of bowling's brightest stars are in the place that has the star to bowl for a championship unlike any other. And yes, we welcome you inside Cowboys Stadium, a venue that bowling has never seen before. This is Bowling's U.S. Women's Open, presented by the brands of Ebonite International. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dave Lamont. We are thrilled to be here, right in the heart of Cowboys country. Along with me, future Hall of Famer and Triple Crown holder Chris Barnes. And you've bowled all over the world, every continent I can think of. But have you ever seen a setting like this?
Never in any place that even approaches this. This is the biggest and probably most famous stadium anywhere in the world. You have ceilings that are much, much taller. It changes the perspective here. And you have a screen that's more than 3 times wider than the lane is long.
You know what? Our bowling fans recognize those women coming out of the limousine. It is a star-studded field, and they shredded the AMF lanes at Euless. They were really incredible scores.
Well, they bombed them over there. The scores were a little bit higher last week than we've been used to in previous U.S. Opens, but it didn't seem to change our finalists much. Our leaders all averaged over 225 this week. The surface is similar this week, and they were going to have to make some adjustments, though, to get to this title.
Our viewers can see it behind us. This is not a normal bowling tournament. There are a lot of visual distractions here. Yes, the surface is similar, but do you think there's a player in this field who has a bigger advantage than anyone else?
Well, if so, it's not going to be by experience. We have 3 players with Kelly, Liz, and Lynda who have made 4 out of the last 5 U.S. Open telecasts. And Miss O'Keefe, well, she's only made 3 out of the last 5, and she missed the other one by 2 pins. And then Leanne Hulsenberg, oh yeah, but oh, her. She's won 26 titles, and she's finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in this U.S. Open. No experience advantage, but Kelly Kulick has bowled for every major title in the last 2 years. The advantage has to go to her. She's established herself as the most dominant women's player.
He's ready. I'm ready. We know you're ready. And do we mention these bowlers, in addition to the unprecedented environment, are also potentially going to walk out of here with a $1 million check? Are they ready?
If you had told me when I started bowling at the age of 6
that I would be bowling at a football stadium in front of the biggest crowd ever for a bowling finals, I would have told you were crazy.
But here I am bowling for a major title in the biggest venue imaginable.
Am I ready? You bet.
Bring it on.
Let's go.
Let's get this party started.
What a crowd. This certainly is going to be a record. I can only imagine. The excitement inside Cowboy Stadium is high, and we bring to you bowling fans the classic stepladder format the way it ought to be. And we begin with this match of 2 good friends, Lynda Barnes on the right, Shannon O'Keefe there on the left. And they have
You said we got another practice shot.
been at this U.S. Open before. Lynda was on the show last year in the same position and lost in the opening match in a 1-ball roll-off with Carolyn Doran Ballard. And so it was Shannon's choice to let Lynda throw the first shot here at Cowboy Stadium.
Oh boy. Hold.
Oh boy, and hold are not the words that she wanted to say when she threw the first ball.
Some 9s are much better than others.
How would this one rate?
Pretty high.
Here's your brackets, and you see Shannon number 4, Lynda number 5, Liz Johnson, a 2-time Open champion, number 3, Leanne Hulsenberg number 2, and Kelly Kulick, trying to become the first woman in over 40 years to successfully defend her championship, awaits them all. And in that title match, I'll tell you about that in a moment. In that title match, if one of the competitors bowls a 300, she will win $1 million. Our first look tonight at Shannon O'Keefe. High is 3rd place in this event, as low as 10th place, but she's been around the show all throughout the qualifying. 7-time Team USA member.
Sit, sit, sit.
And again, that one right across the face. And is it nerves or is it lanes?
It's nerves at this point. There's a lot of energy going on. They had to sit while they were going through the introduction, so they didn't get any shots in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And it's not uncommon at all for the very first shot to be 2 or 3 inside a target, and both players missed that way.
2.
Oh, that's a bad break to chop that. So Lynda Barnes gets the first advantage. And Chris, explain to everybody what we are bowling on.
Well, we're bowling on a 39-foot pattern this week, and it's at 5-1. And that means there's 5 times as much oil in this part of the lane right here as there is on the outside out here. So what that means, the PBA Tour bowls on 3-1. That keeps our scores around 220. This week on this 5-1, they really took advantage of it. Everyone on the show averaged over 230 this week.
Carry.
Oh, and a ringing 10 that time for Shannon O'Keefe. You could hear her ask the ball to carry. Really can't complain much about that shot. Shannon has finished second in this championship before. She did so in 2007. And she was 6th at our Queens tournament in Syracuse, just missing the show.
This is a great shot here, and watch the 6-pin. Second one from the left, right around the bottom of the 10.
She's got to get on the board with a mark, and she'll able to do that. She is able to do that. So we're still awaiting our first strike, but it's very early on. And again, this environment, we said it before, we'll say it again. It's unlike anything else. And Chris, take us through the Ebonite keys to victory for Lynda.
Well, for Lynda, a lot of what she has to do, she has to get the ball through the front of the lane. She's got to conserve energy. This is a high friction SPL surface, and she has to stay to the right, and her ball has to get through clean to save energy so it can drive through the pins.
That looked good all the way, and Lynda Barnes gets the first strike. And let me be up front for those of you who may not know, Chris and Lynda are married. There's a few people who may not know that, and I'll ask you what I asked you before. Would you rather be out there where she is or sitting down talking about it?
Well, it's easier to bowl than it is to just talk about it. Here she gets to the right. She's gone with a shiny eruption here, and that ball saves enough energy to go ahead and kick that 10 out. Use stronger balls right now. Of course, she's further left. They run out of energy before the head pin, and you leave flat 10s.
Come on, ball. Yeah.
Ball listens very well. If only you listened that well.
You'd think I have more training, more years of opportunity, but it hasn't happened yet.
So early pressure on Shannon O'Keefe. What are her keys?
Now, Shannon really has to manage her nerves, and she's a very high energy player. She can use it to her advantage at times, but it can get her in trouble also. And then just shot repetitions. If she repeats well, she has more speed and axis rotation than anyone else in this field.
Just missed out. Now, when a right-hander leaves that pin, what does that mean?
It means the ball's hooked too much. Normally, a player will have to move about one board left and keep their eyes around the same to hit the head pin a little bit further to the right. But as you watch, it's going to go a little bit high, right there. And the 2-pin goes around the 4-pin, leaving.
Spare ball comes through for Shannon. You know, it's an interesting story about both these women. I mentioned they live in the area, both of them, as well as you know. But both had sort of fallen out of love with the sport in the last couple of years. And for Shannon, only recently this year, after feeling she was completely burned on the sport, she sort of rediscovered her faith, and that, she said, has changed her life. And she's had a great year, 6th in the Queens, as we mentioned. She has done well in this tournament in the past, and she makes the show here. There's that light 10 that you talked about. So she is still searching for her first strike, and she's fallen into a 23-pin hole.
Well, that's certainly what you have to manage. She does get around the ball, but what that means is she has more axis rotation. It spins more. It goes further down the lane before it makes its move. But even right now, her ball is a little bit too early. It's running out of energy.
So Shannon O'Keefe still searching on these brand new lanes at Cowboys Stadium. Lynda Barnes with a double has the early advantage in the opening match of the U.S. Women's Open. ESPN presentation of the 2011 U.S. Women's Open presented by Ebonite. Brought to you by Ebonite International, building the best brands in bowling. By Janny King, the leader in commercial cleaning services. And by G2. So you see the situation Shannon's in. She began the match with a missed spare and then went 4 straight single pin spares before striking in the 6th. So that's why she's so far back. Lynda Barnes is on form right now.
Carry. Catch.
Again, 10 straight back. So the issue becomes, has she caught fire too late? Now the Cats comparison on Shannon and Lynda, you get a good idea there.
And you see Lynda all the way up through the board has been very, very consistent. Had one shot in the 4th she missed. Shannon's been a little bit more up and down, but she's been making adjustments all that time as well. So it's not, actually, it's a very good representation.
Ouch. Well, that isn't.
This is the shot that's bit her all through the week. She gets a little slow, and her hand rolls around the top of it, and the ball cuts through the heart for the big four. See a little bit more rotation early, and it's inside a target. Shannon is able to create so much down lane angle, and more than almost any other player in this top 5. But it gets her into trouble on that shot right there.
Well, even I could see that was definitely inside of the target that she had on the previous strikes. Now, Lynda Barnes can pretty much put her foot down on this match. Her max at the moment is 269. She's in control. That's how you do it. You make sure there are no doors left open.
Well, I tell you what, that one looked on purpose. She's really put together some rhythm. She's gotten out of those first, the 2 shots out of the commercial break have been the ones that are slow. This one here, great balance of the foul lane. She are posting up the shot. Perfectly high flush. Maybe a half board high. If anything, she might move just a touch left the next time on that lane.
Oh, boy.
You can hear, and she gets the carry. That's the kind of, you won't see a real bowler smile after a shot like that, and obviously Lynda qualifies for that. Kathy Doran-Lizzie is standing by with Liz Johnson. It looks like Liz is going to be facing Lynda Barnes.
Well, looking at the scores, it's no surprise that Lynda's whacking them, so there's a lot of strikes being thrown. Are you going to change your game plan at all, use the same equipment, or is that intimidating you at all a little bit to change something?
As of right now, I'm just going to go with my game plan, use the equipment that I use during the week. Just make good shots, stay aggressive, and stay down, and hopefully the pins fall.
Good luck, Liz.
Thanks, Kathy.
Back to you guys.
So Lynda Barnes with a brilliant performance to pick up an easy victory, but awaiting her, 2-time U.S. Open champion Liz Johnson.
Welcome back to the U.S. Women's Open presented by Ebonite International.
Lynda Barnes, who won the first match, will be taking on Liz Johnson in match number 2, trying to get to Kelly Kulick, who's at the top of the ladder. Of course, Leanne Hulsenberg is sitting in that number 2 position. And let's go through the slow motion. Lynda finished with 7 strikes and then picked up left 1 pin in her fill ball. But what is she doing so well?
Using a very, very clean ball that gets long down the lane and then makes a sharp move down lane. It has lots of energy, so it's still driving through the pins and rolling through them. The problem for Shannon was it rolled a little bit too early and it didn't go through them. This shot was actually a little bit left to target, but because it got long down the lane, again, it froze for her, went just a little bit high, but still was able to strike. She's maximizing her room on the lane right now with energy at the head pin.
Well, Lynda Barnes is looking for her first U.S. Open championship. Liz Johnson has 2 of them. And Liz has decided, you know what, Lynda, you start. Last minute adjustment, and looks like Lynda has also taken a seat, so it will be Liz Johnson leading it off. Higher seat as the choice. Liz in the Buffalo area and Cheektowaga. And that's pretty much what you expect out of Liz Johnson.
That's exactly what you expect out of Liz. We had talked about it before among a bunch of the guys that were around and the close watchers, and Liz is probably the person to beat here. She plays a little further right than everyone. She's firmer than everyone, and she is a shot maker. She gets in rhythm, it's going to be awfully hard to knock her off.
See if Lynda can maintain the rhythm here and snaps that right into the pocket. Well, we mentioned that we have several former champions in the field. We also have some in our audience, and standing by with our Kathy Doran-Lizzie is a 2-time U.S. Open winner, Pat Costello. Kathy?
Pat, one of the greatest women bowlers ever. Because of what you've done, you've allowed this to be possible for us. And unfortunately, in your era, we didn't have the money in bowling that we do now. What do you think of this? $50,000.
Well, this is incredible. I had to be here for this. It's the most exciting thing. You've got 5 great players out there. Anybody can win. Yeah, thanks. You know, USBC and BPAA and Ebonite pulled this off. I think it's fantastic.
Not only that, but she made me bring the camera over here. She told me that earlier. She wanted to be on TV. Back to you, Dave.
All right, Kathy. And Pat, thank you very much for everything you've done for women's bowling. Yeah, I can guarantee you these ladies who are here tonight I've not forgotten about your contributions. Lynda opens with a double and just remains locked in to our pair. But again, that's what you expect out of Liz Johnson. She's not backing down from anybody. Has no reason to, of course. Her successes, it's going to take probably till tomorrow to finish off the Liz Johnson resume of bowling success. You see there what she's done at this championship. She's won the Queens in 2009. She was very successful in the days of the women's tour. She had 11 championships before that folded in 2003. She's been a college bowler of the year, as has Lynda Barnes. In fact, Liz was a finalist in the Open last year and lost to Kelly Kulick. Oh, I think a lot of fans started applauding that, thinking that she had nailed the strike, but the 10-pin stands up.
Boy, this is a great shot here. And what you'll see is the 6-pin right there go around the 10. What a good shot. This is going to be a battle. You have two shot makers that are both lined up.
Oy. All right, she can breathe now.
Something you don't often see either from her. She is a great spare shooter.
A little color back in her face after that almost went awry into the channel.
Your heart will skip a beat as you watch that one go down the lane.
Lynda Barnes has struck of 9 of her last 10 frames. My goodness. Well, Lynda, as much as any of the bowlers, and they all understand this environment, this opportunity, the $50,000, maybe the $1 million, she understands what this means to the sport of women's bowling.
I think it means that women's bowling never died. We just needed a little forum to get it going again, and here we are. You had the biggest turnout. You're going to have the largest crowd here watching. I think it speaks volumes for what women's bowling can do.
Well now, front 4 for Lynda Barnes. There were 14 300s thrown in qualifying. Lynda did not throw one, although she came exceptionally close with a couple of games in the high 290s. And what about the Ebonite Keys of victory for Liz Johnson?
Well, Liz just basically carry the 10-pin. She's an excellent shot maker. She's going to be firm, and she's going to be on line. And speed control is the key to that. If she gets too firm or too soft on a shot there.
What happened there?
You pay the price. She gets a little, wasn't really that firm on the last shot, but rings a 10. And the thing you often come back on is to try and make it hit. This ball cuts through the middle, leading 4-6.
Oh, she went for it. Why not? Knowing that Lynda is on fire right now, that was a wise move for Liz Johnson. You've got to gamble. One pin may not make a big difference at this point. She's in a, this is what happened in the match with Shannon O'Keefe. Lynda Barnes got going early, built up a huge lead, and Shannon could never overcome that. And Liz is running into that buzzsaw right now.
In this environment, and so short, it's hard to resist the temptation to try and make it strike. And as soon as you do that, you pay the penalty.
But Liz is not the type to give up. She has battled men on the PBA Tour, and sometimes very successfully. At the USBC Masters, as a matter of fact, she finished 13th in 2007. No woman had ever finished that high before. But the storyline right now is Lynda Barnes easily won match number 1. The number 5 position. And the front 5 as the 10-pin is kicked aside. And don't forget, bowling fans, from Chicago's 10-pin bowling lounge, you can catch the conclusion of the Geico PBA team shootout. I think I know who's going to be in that show. Sitting right next to me. Tune in to see the conclusion starting tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Just to remind you, Chris, the $1 million is only in the championship match.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed about that. This is coming a little early here, but she's really good with it. And she's actually moved a little bit to the right. Liz playing out to the right has made that spot hook even more. She's moved her eyes a little bit. She's getting a better move off of that friction, and her ball's got more angle going through the pins.
And she did not change balls.
No, she did not.
All right. some thought of that.
Roll.
That, why not? Just beat him in a bag and mix him up. Front six for Lynda.
You know you're doing the right thing here. She whiffed this one at the bottom and got it in a little bit both. And it managed to still get back to the head pin. Watch as the head pin does all the work here.
Well, it can be your enemy. It can also be your friend. And you see that plus 54. That dove in hard on Liz, and there's the ball speed issue that you talked about there. She leaves the 4-pin behind.
Well, Shannon had some issues with the 4-pin on that lane as well. It seems like that lane slows down a little bit faster than, a little bit quicker than the left lane does. And so I think you're going to see players as we move on here on lane 4 be a little bit left with their feet on that lane to battle that extra friction.
Now, Liz Johnson just bowls. She is truly a professional bowler. She bowls around the world. She bowls in any event she can find, men's tour, and there's any women's events, regional events. This is her love, and she's exceptionally good at it.
Look at all those people in the background.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Come on, get out of there. One of those two had to go, and that 7-pin just won't. Well, you've been spending time at the Bowl Expo in Arlington, and a trade show for the bowling industry. A lot of those folks are here as well, and the pins sort of cooperated and sort of didn't.
Watch the head pin as it comes across. Holds out the 10. The head pin tapped the 7 on the way by, but wouldn't knock it over. Well, big trouble now. She's on a 225 max score, and Lynda is on a 240 pace, provided she stays clean.
Her max score is a little higher than that right now. Yep. Right now, every break, too. You got to admit, getting a tap on the 4 is not ordinary.
Yeah. She's matched up exceptionally well there. That was left to target again, but she actually rolled that one at the bottom, and that one should have gone high. To be honest, you'd rather go ahead and 4-pin right there and get that one out of the way. I don't want to use too many breaks this early in the matches.
That target, well, there you go. That'll stop it at 7 straight.
That's all right.
I don't think she's complaining.
I didn't like her chance of shooting 2 300s in the finals.
Boy, would you ever hear the end of that? And Lynda Barnes has this match pretty much locked down. She has a commanding lead on the 3rd seed, Liz Johnson. So right now, it's the Lynda Barnes Show, also known as the U.S. Women's Open, from Cowboys Stadium in front of what may be a record crowd for bowling anywhere.
Welcome back. I'm with Leanne Hulsenberg, who has yet to win this event. Do you want to win it?
Yeah, I would love to win it.
You're a mom now. Your son's here. How exciting would that be?
It'd be great. My husband hasn't ever seen me win a tournament, so it would be a great thrill for all of us.
Good luck, my partner.
Thanks.
Dave?
All right, thank you both very much. Leanne had a sterling career when there was a PWBA. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Liz Johnson significantly down in this match against Lynda Barnes, not necessarily because of anything that Liz has done wrong, but Lynda opened with a front 7 before going 9 spare in the 8th. And a solid shot by Liz Johnson.
She's actually changed balls now, using the same ball that Lynda is, a much cleaner cover.
She should use the exact same ball that Lynda is what I would do.
Well, and that's just it. There's basically 2 ways to be real successful on either tour, and that's to do something exceptionally better than everyone else, or to be a great shot maker. And these 2 are shot makers, and so they're able to compete when the lanes are hard or when the lanes are high scoring like this.
Liz was 9 and 7 in match play. Buries it there in the pocket beautifully. Average 235 in the qualifying. defeated Lynda in match play, but part of the fun of the match play competition, 16 match play games, is 30 bonus pins that are awarded in addition to your score when you win, or 15 if there happens to be a tie. Whoever is yelling behind us in the back, whoa, every time Lynda gets ready to nail a strike, and she's pointing in that direction. I don't know if that's a friend or a family member up there, but somebody is as dialed in as she is.
Watch this one coming right at us. Out to about the 6th, 7th board. Right through the pins, 10 straight back. Just like the picture. Doesn't get any better than that.
And 7th pin will stick around for another shot. But again, Lynda's not doing anything to hurt herself. She can go 259 max. And Liz's max is 225. So Lynda Barnes has nailed this match. And from 5th place, she's now 2 matches away from her first U.S. Women's Open title, 2 wins. And Leanne Hulsenberg will be next. And there'll be some families in this next match because your boys are here. Leanne and her husband and her son, Barrett, are here.
Should be another great matchup of there's nothing but heavyweights. It's Murderer's Row, and that I'm just trying to climb up through.
Well, right now, the #1 on that Murderer's Row is Lynda Barnes. A 259 in this match. And a little wave to the boys right there. So Lynda Barnes is moving up, taking on the #2 seed, Leanne Hulsenberg. And Chris is right. That is a major match. And waiting the winner of that match is the top seed and the dominant force in this tournament up to now, Kelly Kulick. So we've got 3 great bowlers left and 2 amazing matches for $50,000 to the winner. And maybe $1 million if one of our bowlers rolls a 300 in the championship match. And we're at Cowboys Stadium. You can't beat this. That's the outside of our incredible venue here in Arlington, Texas, Cowboys Stadium, the 2011 U.S. Women's Open, presented by Ebonite International. And you know, it is hot in Texas this time of the year, but plenty to do on the outside to stay cool. Go to the beautiful Rangers ballpark in Arlington, our neighbor to Cowboys Stadium, practically across the street. Or head on inside, grab some air conditioning or some ice conditioning. You'll definitely be cool if you take a tumble there. But some hot bowlers in their time, the 2011 Hall of Fame inductees, including the man sitting to my left, counting the numbers for us today, Del Ballard Jr., Del, well-deserved induction, Wayne Webb, Carol Giannotti, and she happens to be standing by with our own Kathy Doran Lizzie.
Well, before we get set to hear a concert by country singer Neil McCoy, I am with the great Carol Giannotti, who came to the United States as an international player back in 1989, didn't know a soul. Wendy McPherson took you under her wing, and now 22 years later, you're in another Hall of Fame. That's got to be pretty special.
Yes, very. I mean, who would dream of the career I've had? And it's just a great honour, especially as an Australian, to come over here and be so successful. And just very proud and very honoured to be getting inducted tomorrow night. I'm starting to get a little nervous, but yeah, what a great honour to be with a lot of great bowlers.
Well, you've definitely earned it and deserved it, and on behalf of all of us that have bowled against you and with you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and good on you, Carol. And by the way, in that Hall of Fame is Leanne Hulsenberg. She's in our next match against the hottest bowler on the planet at the moment, Lynda Barnes, getting ever closer to that championship match inside Cowboys Stadium.
Hey, I'm a little backwoods. Yeah, well, that's good, I think.
See what everything looks like, all polished and perfect, great crowd on hand, incredible facility, and the lanes look perfect right on the star. But well, this was a difficult job, and a lot of hours went into this. How about 48 of them? Great crowd here at Cowboy Stadium. They've been enjoying our bowling, but they've also seen 2 dominant performances by the 5th seed Lynda Barnes. Now she runs into Leanne Hulsenberg. You may have known her as Leanne Barrett in the days of the PWBA Tour, where she was a dominant player. We'll meet her in a moment. Here's Lynda. She slipped in game 2 down to 259 from 268. You know, that might have been on videotape for all I know, because that's pretty much what she's done every single time.
The left lane for her has a little bit more hold, gives her a little more area. I'm not surprised that Leanne got her to switch lanes. And it should be the same for Leanne, who's going to play much, much further left and go around the lane a whole lot more.
She went way out there and gets a little kiss on that 10-pin. Well, Leanne was an incredible player on the PWBA, 26-time champion, and has been on television over 100 times. This is not new to her.
No, watch this ball get all the way out to about the 5th board. And all that roll and all that angle is what knocks that 10-pin out at the end.
However, in that incredible Hall of Fame, USBC Hall of Fame resume, she does not have an Open Championship. That's a good way to get it. She did win the USBC Queens in 1999. And so these two, not surprisingly, throwing big punches early.
Yeah, she has a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th, so she's no stranger to this final either.
Look out, boy. Just at this point, seriously, on your way home tonight, go to the gas station, buy about 20 lottery tickets. Make sure she pays for them, though, because at this point, she's getting everything. There you see how it started with Lynda Barnes, 268. Then Liz Johnston ended up with a 225. That's pretty good, but you see it didn't do her any good. And now the formidable Leanne Hulsenberg. And speaking of formidable, Kelly Kulick awaits the winner for the championship. Really? All right, now that's out of your page. Complaining about this shot and still getting it strike.
She can be a touch of a perfectionist as well.
It's not just you, huh?
By the numbers, this is about a board inside at the arrows, a board and a half. But as I alluded to earlier, this left lane has more hold. That would not have held in the first game. It is holding now.
Oh, there's a ringer. That's a good-looking shot all the way.
Wow, is this a good shot here? You see, Lynda's playing about the 12th board, 13th board. Leanne is playing the 20th board at the arrows. 7 full boards deeper, about 14 or 15 deeper with her feet. And using all that angle to try and carry each shot. And I'm really surprised at that ringing 10.
So Leanne Hulsenberg. She was known as Leanne Barrett in her tour days. She'd been married for 4 years, and her son is named Barrett. Youngin. Born in April of 2009. And again, a stubborn 10. Well, we mentioned the damage done to the lanes in Euless by the qualifiers here, and let's take a look at the average for the television show. And every stat jumps out, not just one of them, the number of bowlers, but the 300 games.
The number of 300s average is huge, 25 pins a game.
Oh my, that was what could have happened there?
That's a footwork issue there, where she got looks like she got a little ahead of herself and might have stuck on the approach. That was well left to target. Yeah, he looks down at her foot immediately. The foot went out from underneath her.
The International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame here in Arlington has always been a popular destination, but after last night, the museum is even better. Welcome to the new wing and 50 years of professional women's bowling. The new exhibit features the great names of the past and the faces of today's women's professionals. It includes a full video history of women's bowling on television. And no doubt, Today's event at Cowboys Stadium will find its way to the new addition at the Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame. So Lynda Barnes with a front 5. Here's how she did it.
See here, got the ball going a little bit further right than last time. This one comes up a little bit light, but sends everything to the left.
My goodness, those are some strict pins for everybody except Lynda. That, to me anyway, looked like a pretty good shot.
This shot's left to target, but it gets to a pretty good spot, the same as Lynda's got to a pretty good spot on her shot that was in. This actually is a couple of boards inside a target from the last one, but she's lined up pretty well. She's matched up, goes high flush, but leaves a stone 7.
So an easy cover that time, but really hanging over Leanne's head is that mistake she made, missing the 10 pin by several inches. Single pin spares are almost automatic to these players. And again, though, Lynda has another huge lead about halfway through the match, and she's done it by just simply not missing. And even, I guess you could say, even when she does miss a tiny bit, it's still going for her right now.
Yeah, she's matched up, like I said, at maximizing her error room that gives it a chance to strike.
That's a good-looking shot there for Hulsenberg, but she has got a long ladder to climb up. So let's take a look at the respective styles in slow motion.
Well, almost identical, except for they start about 15 boards apart. As opposed to Shannon and Lynda, their footwork is both very deliberate and very slow. Leanne's ball speed is even slower than Lynda's is, but she has more axis rotation. She hooks the ball much more, covers many, many more boards. And that's how she won all her titles, basically is using that power to her advantage and becoming a great player and winning so many titles, specifically when the lane started to break down and she could move left.
So the front 5 is halted by a 10 pin for Lynda, but covered that with no trouble. If you remember last year's show, it was a missed 10 pin by Lynda that ended up in the long run costing her that first match with Carolyn Dorn Ballard. Not somebody you dare make a mistake against under any circumstances.
No, again, another great shot maker, and that's what it comes down when you have Liz and Lynda and Carolyn. And you make an error like that, they're not going to give you the mistake back.
Yeah, Carolyn finished 30th in this event. Solid, just absolutely, there's nothing else you can say at this point. The performance of Lynda Barnes thrilling her boys, and the boy next to me over here is pretty happy too. And so is a huge crowd at Cowboys Stadium. One of these guys could end up with $1 million from mom. Part of the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Was there anybody better than Roger Staubach? Turns out he had a bowling background too. This is definitely bowling week in Dallas, including this year's Bowl Expo and the expansive Gaylord Texan Convention Center. Featured spectator, Dallas Cowboy great Roger Staubach warming up that Hall of Fame arm with a couple of passes with BPAA Executive Director Steve Johnson. Roger has his own bowling story. He connected with an old girlfriend in high school by his prowess on the lane.
So the 4 of us went bowling, and this is not an urban legend. It's a true story. I bowled a 213, just murdered Ed, and Mary Ann has told me she fell back in love with me at the bowling alley. So
Roger Staubach, a great addition to this year's Bowl Expo here in Dallas. I got to tell you, he was as good as they came as a quarterback. I don't know if you ever saw him play, but man, was he great. Leanne Hulsenberg is in a bit of a pickle. And that says it all right there. Trailing by 42 pins to Lynda Barnes. Leanne's had over $1 million in earnings. And she made an interesting remark to Kathy about her husband has never seen her bowl well. We'll explain that a little bit here. She gets a tap on that 10. Now, they've been married 4 years. after 2003, when the women's tour faded, she bowled pretty hardcore for about 3 years and then began to sort of downsize her bowling. Didn't practice as much, didn't compete as much. So when she did compete, just did not have good tournaments, didn't roll it well. And so finally, going into this calendar year, she just said, all right, look, I'm better than this. I can bowl better than this. And so she really rededicated herself this year, and it has paid off with this appearance. She averaged just about 235. She went 13-3 in match play, bowling exactly like that. Sitting next to the Hall of Famer Kim Terrell-Kearney, the lady on the right is her husband Gary, and Shannon Pluhowski. They're on Gary's right, who was finished 6th in this event this year.
Gary, a big Cowboy fan, feels right at home down here, that close to the field. He's happy to be down there.
Lynda Barnes is pretty happy to be here. Now, this isn't over yet. That double is going to make her do well, and she's stuck with a ringing 10. Hasn't seen many of those.
No, and that has a chance to even this match right back up. With Leanne's max score at 247, and Lynda's is going to be at 259. This one's nowhere near over.
Quick count. Okay. You can hear a little oh on her microphone.
Those first shots out of the break are definitely the hardest ones. You just feels like you sit forever in there, and then try and get back into rhythm. We talked about there's transition, a constantly changing environment, and this oil right there is what I'm talking about. We got carry down there. That's oil from the front part of the lane. So not only the front part of the lane hooking more, but down lane is now slicker.
Get a tap on that 10, not going to happen. So back-to-back 10 pins. Now, so it's slicker. How does that affect our two players?
It goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, where you have friction in the front of the lane, takes energy out of the ball. It gets down lane, has less left to try and cut through that oil and get angle to roll through the head pin. And so it ends up hitting flat like that, and the 6-pin lays in the gutter.
That was better.
Yes, it was. She's absolutely right. It was better. So her max now is going to be at 248, pardon me, if she strikes out in the 10th frame. But Leanne Hulsenberg, if she strikes out, there you see what we could be headed for. And by the way, if there is a tie, there is a one-ball roll-off, sudden death, literally, or sudden victory, if you want to use that term.
Most important shot of the match.
Come on, Walt.
No problem. And that's the Leanne Hulsenberg that we watched in match play.
That's been the tougher lane for both players, is right lane. It hooks more in the front and has been more difficult to navigate because of that carry down. Now watch this as she gets in so far in, gets it all the way out there to the 5th board, and gets it to circle back around.
Well, she's on 4 straight. And again, she can go as high as 247.
She hasn't missed the pocket the whole game.
And still hasn't. And this is the first time that Lynda Barnes has been challenged. The first 2 matches were relatively easy for her. Shannon O'Keefe had a tough time and rolled a low score, while Lynda was off with a 268. Lynda rolled a 259 to defeat Liz Johnson. She may have to roll a 248 to win this match.
Absolutely. This is a great shot, right back in rhythm. The catch numbers show it's exactly the same as the last shot on that lane.
And Leanne Hulsenberg flashing back to those days on the women's tour right here, I think, with this performance.
One more forces Lynda to double in the 10th frame.
Good looking shot all the way. Everybody in our little area here, Del Ballard Jr. and you just nodding your heads as soon as you saw it go off her hand. Del handling the numbers for us tonight.
This is what Leanne does so well. She's able to get it to that spot that's just right of high flush and able to get the pins to hit each other. Basically, he gets the 3-pin into the solid part of the 6. The 6 comes off the wall and slaps the 10 out. That's the shot that made her a Hall of Famer.
Looking for that first U.S. Women's Open. No problem. She will finish with 7 straight. She's done all she can, and now she's got to sit and watch Lynda Barnes. Neither player having won this event.
Very often a single pin spare costs you a match on TV. She would be the winner right now had she made that already. 3 strikes in the 10th now. Lets Lynda advance to the title match.
She's been great at closing. Got it. She made the show by closing well in her last 3 qualifying match plays.
She'd fallen to 6 and really struggled in the early morning. Bowled Liz and Leanne. She closed out 3 straight matches to go from out of the show to back in it and basically locking herself in with 1 game to go. Shots like that was how she got here. She needs 2 more to advance.
Anything less than a strike on this ball, and it's over. Oh, she gets that 4 kick again. The boys are happy. My partner has stopped breathing, but he'll be with us in a moment. Now, here's the deal. 9 gets us a tie, and that roll-off. Another strike, and Lynda Barnes is in the U.S. Open Championship.
Boy, that was a little reminiscent of the 4-pin she carried against Sean Rash to win the Clash of Champions there. So she can regroup here and throw her best shot now when she needs it most.
Strike to win. Look out. Oh, and she loses by a pin. She needed 9 for the tie. What a match. A 246 doesn't win. Leanne Hulsenberg has advanced to the championship. It will be 1 versus 2. And I think Lynda gets it more than Leanne does right now.
Go right there.
Leanne Hulsenberg might be the most surprised person in the entire building. It'll be 1 versus 2. Gary's just sort of walking around on the turf trying to figure out exactly, did that just happen? You did, Gary. Your wife is in the final. And by the way, one of you could get $1 million. 3 times in the history of women's bowling on television, there have been 300 games. Go back to 1997. Michelle Feldman, a power player, with the 300. Two years later, Kara Honeychurch, the lefty. And in 2001, Liz Johnson. Look where this ball starts out. That's trusting your shot. Tonight, if somebody rolls a 300 game in our championship match, $1 million. Don't go anywhere. And here we go. And Leanne Hulsenberg, a 247 where she never missed the pocket. Just saying. And another 10 pin. That's how she started the match with Lynda Barnes. That one probably not as solid as some of the others. But you saw what she did, and then Lynda Barnes unable to get the 9 she needed for a tie, or the triple that she needed in the 10th for the win to move on to the championship match. This was a troublesome pin for Leanne. She got away with the single pin spare miss. And here's your tournament leader, Kelly Kulick, your defending champion, a 2-time U.S. Women's Open champion. And she took over the lead after 24 games, and it looked like Secretariat. It looked like Michael Johnson in the Olympics when she took off and just blew everybody away with a 241 average. And sadly, there'll be no $1 million. Ringing 10 for Kelly that time.
Somebody somewhere is breathing a sigh of relief.
Well, there's an insurance guy right now who just opened a cold beverage of his or her choice. Absolutely. Well, let's go over to Kathy Doran-Lizzie, who's standing by with Lynda Barnes. And Kathy, we understand that an interesting development during the course of Lynda's run.
Yeah, unfortunately, during the commercial break, Lynda felt a pull in her right forearm, although she didn't act like anything was bothering her, but apparently she's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, you know, I felt a pull coming out of the commercial break, but I think it actually helped me because I couldn't grab at it. It hurt enough to where I thought, okay, well, let's just get it off your hands. Everything happens for a reason. So I'm happy to be here.
You're happy with the result anyway.
I moved up 2 spots. I made extra money. I got to bowl at the Cowboys Stadium. It's a good day.
That's great. You both great. Congratulations.
To take some of that $15,000 and buy some ice, would you please, Chris, on the way home? Meantime, Kelly Kulick went through the face on that, and as you've always talked about how the 3-6-10 you can't stand. Now she's got the 9-pin behind that.
Well, this is basically the hardest spare you can leave. It's not a split or a washout. But Kelly's keys to victory here are just really more of the same. She has completely dominated women's bowling over the last 2 years. She is able to carry through with the same game plan and the same proficiency that she's shown through that time. This is hers to win.
And the keys brought to you by Ebonite International, and the same fine folks are bringing you this championship match for $50,000 without interruption. First strike of the match. You know it's going to be a strike when Del Ballard Jr. is standing next to me, starts nodding his head yes. The second leaves her fingers. He was on that immediately.
The main difference between the two is how it rolled off the end of her hand. The first one, she got up the back of it a little bit and it hit flat. That one, she got around and it completed the move. It made it all the way back around the corner and rolled through the pins.
Leanne Hulsenberg has won major championship trophy, the 1999 USBC Queens. And there's a solid 4-pin. Now, she said that was a hold or something. That's what it sounded like.
That needed to hold. That was 2 boards inside of her last shot, according to our CATS data at the arrows, and with basically no projection at all. She was fortunate that that was just a 4-pin. It did hold for a 4-pin. Shannon O'Keefe threw a shot like that earlier today that turned into a big 4.
So this should be an easy convert, and it is. So Kelly Kulick, we've shown you, has won this tournament twice, 2003, basically her rookie season, and 2010. Here are your other 2-time winners. And you see Liz Johnson was in our field earlier, 96 and 07. Paula Carter, Pat Costello, whom you've met already. Dana Miller-Mackey, certainly one of the best ever. Kim Terrell-Kearney, a Hall of Famer. But Marion Ladowicz won 8 of them. So you got some catching up to do. Kelly through the nose again, Chris, and in huge trouble here and trying to defend her title early on. What's missing?
Basically, there's just a lot more friction out here right now. She's using a shiny ball, which she used the last round of match play, but it's hooking even more. It's coming off the spot, and by the spot, I mean the friction on the lane too hard. She's going to have to move further left, or she's going to have to use more speed to smooth that out.
So Kelly in a 20-pin hole of her own doing right now. She had a poor count in the second frame off of her, and there's exactly what you're talking about there, Chris.
She has to get it out in this range on the outside of this carried down oil to create some hold. If she gets it going up and it gets in through here, it's going to go high. There's not enough oil there to hold it back. She has to get on the outside of it down lane.
Well, on top of the show, you talked about making adjustments as a key here for all the players. He certainly did there, and just got a bad break on that ringing 10.
It looked like she made a little bit of a move there and tried to, and actually the proper adjustment, but it rung 10, which is not a lot of positive feedback that you're doing the right thing. Leanne is really lined up. You really can't wait any longer. Leanne always finishes well. She gets into a little bit of rhythm. Frames 6 through 12 are going to be the ones. Leanne's going to throw a lot of strikes unless she rings a 10 somewhere.
There you see what she did that she just shot that left the ringing 10. That's looking trouble on that conversion. Folks, throw motion time, Chris Barnes. What do we have here? Kelly in the lighter blue shirt, and there is Leanne right there in the darker blue.
What you have between these two, Kelly has a much more consistent approach with momentum, where Leanne has a little slow and stop, and then she drives through at the end. The interesting thing for Kelly here is that she normally doesn't have anyone left of her except for Michelle Feldman. Leanne is one of the few people on any tour that can really get left of Kelly consistently and out-hook her on the lane.
Well, this for Leanne is almost a revival. If we talked earlier in the show how down she was about her bowling 2-3 years ago and joked that her husband Gary never seen her bowl well. Well, he's here, and you see her last Cats data.
And she's got a little bit of friction in that lane too. Was fortunate to get a break there. She's going to have to move left on the right lane as well.
Left for you.
Come on, ball. Come on. Hit.
Look out. Message rejected. Messenger came over there and nothing.
And that's probably just a move from the right lane, but this left lane has consistently stayed tighter. It's more oil down lane. It's been tougher. It's created more hold, basically. This one comes a little light, and the head pin does not come across and hit the 10. A blind scout.
Oh, okay.
Stay over there.
And she got it. That's the pin that she missed badly and still got away with it in that dramatic one-pin victory over Lynda Barnes. Now, Kelly Kulick had a year last year that staggered the imagination. Won the men's tournament of champions, won the 2 women's majors, the USBC Queens and the US Open. And I think she looks at it as having almost a target now, and she's kind of the favorite in every women's event she entered. And she still continues to bowl in the men's events as well. And she thinks there are some fans who are here rooting for her and some who may not be. And she gets a break there. Kelly Kulick has become famous for her efforts, particularly last year in 2010, and she's having to deal with that scrutiny.
I've worked hard in my career to get where I am today. Whether it's traveling international bowling for Team USA bowling on the men's tour, I felt that my legs were cut off for me when the women's tour folded. So I didn't stop bowling. Bowling just maybe ceased in certain ways, but it didn't stop me from perfecting my craft that I do so well.
She's not joking about that, and it is a craft. And by the way, she and Liz Johnson will be on the Pan American team. Not for Brooklands. And she looks just lost right now. Body language says it. She's just struggling to find a shot.
Well, this is a rare repetition issue for Kelly. And in her time on tour, what she did perfect is she became a much better shot maker. She didn't rely on her power to beat you anymore. She can bowl in the fresh and pick up pins there. And then when it turns into a power thing, she has you on the other side. And that's what's made her so dominant. She made a ball change 2 frames ago, let her get a little bit closer to that friction. It evened it out better. That was just a poor shot. She's going to have a long road ahead of her.
Well, if she'd had a split there, she would have made it. She'll take it. It's not perfect. And she's, you know, the thing is, there's still hope because she's only 20 down. Leanne hasn't quite pulled away.
Well, Leanne hasn't struck in the left lane yet. She's left a 10 pin. She threw a bad shot for a 4 pin and then another 10. And so she's been able to hang around, but I don't think that's going to last much longer. I think it's about to start going right now.
Chris Barnes, ladies and gentlemen, predicting the strike before it was thrown.
Well, that wasn't much of a risk. She struck every shot on that right lane, but this is the one right here. I think she'll make the adjustment on this lane here. And I would be shocked if she doesn't strike on this shot.
And if they give her the first double of the match for either player.
Stay out. Hit.
Little light, mixed them up. There's the double. And as she finished strong in the match that got her to this championship, she's beginning that same kind of march.
Watch the head pin go to the wall and do the work here. Mixes up the 4, 5, 7. That was a big shot for her. She's having a harder time getting to the perfect spot on that lane, but She needs only one more on that one, then she can go back and take advantage of her right lane.
Last time Kelly Kulick was on this lane, she got her only strike of the match. Got again through the nose. Well, this is not anything like we saw for a couple of days over in Euless, Texas, where Kelly averaged 241 and didn't throw a 300, but had games in the 280s, 270s, 260s consistently.
This shot got further right earlier on the lane, and the catch data said it was about the same speed off her hand, but it slowed down much quicker as it got further to the right and actually overbounced off of it for the big 4. And what I mean by overbounce is it hit that dry part of the lane to the right where Lynda was playing for 3 games and where Liz played out there as well. That part has been carved up, and now, like a ski slope, they've made that portion of the lane pretty dry. So you get there too early, it comes off of it too hard. If you hit it too late, it doesn't hook enough.
Hey, don't forget, bowling fans, from Chicago's 10-Pin Bowling Lounge, you can catch the conclusion of the Geico PBA team shootout. I think I know who's going to be in that show. Sitting right next to me. Tune in to see the conclusion starting tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And this is a re-rack at the player's request. You get one of those in a match, and it's been pointed out, please do it before you get the approach because it takes a little bit of time. So, Kelly, I wonder if that's as much a mental thing to give herself a little bit of a break as it is just noticing the pins weren't right.
Probably so at this point to regroup. She has to strike out to put any kind of pressure on Leanne.
And for the first time on that left lane, she gets a strike.
And that shot was her furthest left on the lane so far in the whole match. She's decided to play the hold rather than trying to get it to the hook.
Kelly's max, if I figure this is 194.
Completely the opposite of what they did during the week was getting it to the right to take advantage of the room where they didn't have much hold. This pair has turned into mostly hold without, it doesn't break down the right way for her to get it to the right and still carry.
And this is how Leanne Hulsenberg finished the semifinal match. And we should point out again, if you're just joining us, that the oil pattern identical to what we had at the qualifying in Euless, but obviously in such a unique environment here at Cowboys Stadium. As you said, it's an ever-changing condition on these lanes. Right now, Leanne Hulsenberg is on the verdict of her first U.S. Open championship. Right there on the verge. 10-pin stands in the way, but at this point, really just no major gaffes, and she's fine.
You heard her say that needs to hook. At this point, though, really, she just needs one mark.
She's finished 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd in this event. And the 10-pin that she missed earlier is covered and smothered. Now, of course, Cowboy Stadium, we know who plays here regularly, but other great events have been held in this staggering venue. We had George Strait, Reba McEntire open it up. You had, of course, a Super Bowl. Pacquiao fought here. The NBA All-Star Game. U2, Paul McCartney, Keith Urban, Kenny Chesney, Monster Truck, motocross, bull riders, and now women's bowling in a setting that is just unbelievable to comprehend. Everybody says that about this building, and until you walk in here, it really hits you. $50,000 check to the winner. And a few other goodies, the green jacket, a tradition. 2 American Airlines round-trip tickets anywhere in the continental U.S. and a $5,000 Tiffany gift certificate. I'm going to feel like Bob Barker out there.
Fortunately, a little younger.
Yes, and I haven't let it all go gray yet either. Well, Kelly, it's just going to be a case of too little, too late, it looks like. This is the Kelly Kulick that we saw and just dominate qualifying. I mean, it was almost comical. She had one stretch in the last block where she averaged for her first 4 games 270.
She was 520 over at one point for 8 games during qualifying. She had another run in the last round of match play where she went, she shot 180 the first game and then went 270, 270, 260, 270, which locked up her top position on the show. This was just one too many adjustments against a player who was not giving her enough room to make errors.
A dead 10 there, kind of lay in the channel, the 6-pin. So Leanne Hulsenberg has done it. Kelly Kulick in the sort of a mini jinx continues. It's been 42 years since a bowler was able to successfully defend this championship, and it won't be Kelly Kulick. She's going to have to settle for second after winning it last year and winning it also in 2003.
Really too bad. A dominating performance during qualifying and through match play. But Leanne Hulsenberg has really put together two very excellent games to take this U.S. Open title.
Kelly Kulick acknowledges her fans. The husband looks a little teary-eyed. And that's Barrett right there. And Barrett was her maiden name when she was on the PWBA. That's Shannon Pluhowski doing a little babysitting there. And, well, that should have been a strike. That would have been an appropriate way for Leanne to wrap up this match. The great champions have recognized another one. 26-time champion on the women's tour, but this will be her first U.S. Women's Open championship. At this point, she could throw a ball in Jerry Jones's office, and she's going to win.
But she's not going to get to stay to collect the check if she does.
No, good point. Crowd picking up behind her. There's your champion.
Thanks, Shannon. Great bowling. Let it out, girl. You deserve it.
Hi, baby. Hi, baby. We won. We won. We won, baby.
Lady did it.
You did it. You want both?
Well, no longer can husband Gary say, "I've never seen you bowl well." That's over.
You want bowl ball, baby?
Leanne Hulsenberg, a deserving champion. The veteran from Roseville, California, is the 2011 U.S. Women's Open champion. Incredible crowd at Cowboys Stadium, and a worthy winner. One of the greats of all time captures her first U.S. Women's Open. The 2011 U.S. Women's Open, presented by Ebonite on ESPN, brought to you by Ebonite International, building the best brands in bowling. By Janny King, the leader in commercial cleaning services. And by G2. Just a warning to those on the PBA Tour, your days are numbered. The next star on the PBA Tour, Barrett Hulsenberg, has begun his career. Oh, and Mom's not bad either. First off, let's do the Bob Barker part of the show. Let's bring in Steve Johnson, Executive Director of the BPAA, with a little something to take back. You're going to need a very big ATM for this.
Well, Leanne, on behalf of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America and all those great bowling centers that are our members, congratulations on being this year's champion, and I'm honored to award you a check for $50,000.
And there's more, a little something to go with your Queen's Trophy. Here's Randy Schickard from Ebonite. And Randy?
On behalf of Columbia 300, Hammer, Ebonite, and Track, the brands of Ebonite International, I'd like to present this trophy to the winner. Leanne, congratulations.
All right, champ. You've done it all now. You've got the Queens, you've got the U.S. Open, and you finally got to bowl well in front of your husband.
You know, he's never seen me win before, so it's really a special moment for our family.
What was it tonight? I mean, you survived the tough match with Lynda, and you were able to find the line, I guess, ahead of Kelly.
You know, I was really fast. I didn't take my time. I was in a hurry. My husband came over and said, take your time, slow down. And thankfully, I still had a chance in that match, you know, and unfortunately for Lynda. But, you know, then I got kind of calmed down a little bit.
Well, congratulations, an incredible run. You said you like those long formats. You were right. You proved it. Your champion, ladies and gentlemen, Leanne Hulsenberg. So congratulations to Leanne Hulsenberg, winner of the 2011 U.S. Women's Open. Coming up next, the Rochester Rattlers and the Chesapeake Bayhawks in Major League Lacrosse action. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For my partners, Chris Barnes and Kathy Doran-Lizzie, I'm Dave Lamont, saying so long from the Women's Open at Cowboys Stadium in Arlington, Texas.